Two things before we start the show here, folks. First off, Merry Christmas. And second off, guess where I was yesterday? I swear on my top dog chair, I was at Howie's Market in San Gabriel, California. You know that feeling when you pull up to your favorite golf course? That's how I feel when I pull into 6580 North San Gabriel Boulevard. And this was on a Sunday, so the barbecue smoke was billowing in the parking lot for their weekend cookout. And the smell of Southern California's best meat department was on full display. Now, full disclosure, I stopped by to drop off something for the owner, Kirsten Nolan, but she didn't let me leave without some USDA prime filet mignon, which will be on my personal grill tonight. And I'll have a full report on that steak on next week's show. Spoiler alert, it's going to be great because it's from Los Angeles Magazine's Best Butcher Award winner. Howie's Market is family-owned and operated by our good friends. If you can't make it into the store, give them a follow on Instagram and support them from afar. If you are local, Howie's Market is standing by to make your Christmas dinner dreams come true. So give them a call, 626-286-6767. I used them for Thanksgiving, and it was the best life decision I've made all year. And I've made a lot of good ones this year. Howie's Market, it's how we at Nation Golf shop. There's an old saying in life, folks, about turning a bad situation into a great one. When life gives you lemons, add a Diet Coke. We will explain how we turned lemons into Diet Cokes with lemons in just a moment. But first, welcome to the fellowship. My name is Adam Hawk, and I am just thrilled to be joined by a world-renowned surfboard shaper, Indian Wells Country Club powwow chairman, and the founder of Nation Golf, Mr. Ryan Engle. Ryan, we are a mere 9 days away from Christmas. And as they like to say in Spanish, ¿Listamos?
Are you ready?
I'm as ready as I will ever be, which is to say, I'm not ready at all. I think this is the week where the temperature on Christmas really gets turned up and turned up quickly. We are inside of single digits in terms of days left. The shopping that you haven't done starts to move from the back of your brain to the frontal lobe of your cerebral cortex. The work projects that you need to complete before the end of the year have about 6 real business days left to get finished. The kids are 4 school days away from being your 24/7 responsibility for the next 3 weeks. I mean, this is it. It is swing or get off the tee box time.
Man, I'll tell you, I'm feeling the burn. Everything we've talked about personally and a little bit on this pod about those pressures and the commercialization of this great holiday. And, you know, you're down to the stretch and you can't help it if you are a little behind the 8 ball or the apron, as they say. You can't help but start to feel that pressure now. And when you really start thinking about adults, as they like to say in the business, when you start breaking it down, we're like grown adults with jobs, their own money, their own taste, and we're just out there buying presents for each other. It's kind of silly. Kids, wives, get it. Standard, buy those presents. But the random stuff, here's this sweater that was on sale that I frantically just walked around like a corpse in a mall looking for. And here's the gift receipt too. Even better, here's a gift card. Maybe let's focus on the party, the atmosphere, the ambiance, the food, the fellowship, the old getting together. What's wrong with that? Why are you buying Uncle Frank some stupid sweater he doesn't want? Look, I can see both sides. There's nuance to it all. We live in the gray. I can see both sides, but I don't know. If I were in charge, kids, wives, buy those presents. Everyone else, let's just hang out.
Here's where I'm catching a huge break every single year. I don't shop for anyone except my wife, which is a big deal in and of itself, shopping for my wife. But I would be lying if I told you that I had a massive list to take care of, because I don't. I have one person, one very important person, and there's some pressure there, but that's it. And I'm telling you right now, I will be as surprised as my kids are when they open up their presents, because I haven't the slightest idea what's in those presents. But I'll tell you this, You better believe I demand that my name is on the gift tag. That's from Mom and Dad.
You can believe and demand all you want. Because I'll tell you something. Maybe not Johnny yet, but Penelope, the one that carved that N in your coffee mug, she knows you didn't pick those gifts out.
For those wondering what he means by that, my daughter Penelope turned my best dad ever mug into a best dad never mug.
I mean, do you blame her after that kind of a season with the Ender Dragons?
Not only do I not blame her, I'm proud of her for the wordplay.
Okay, that's a glass half full.
Before we recap our golf trip, in case anyone listening right now doesn't finish this episode, 5 quick orders of strictly business. Number 1, we have new toques on the site to go with free shipping all month.
Adam, what's a toque?
You know, Ryan, we've spent 3 years explaining what a toque is.
You know our customer base, though, right?
Yes.
You know the Desert Classic players that don't respond to emails and text the bride on her wedding day what time the party starts? So let's go over the toque one more time.
Toque is a glorious Canadian way of saying knitted cap or stocking cap. Oh, my gosh. Dude, your dog is insane, man.
She's so jealous that Arnie's on my lap that she just said, fuck it, I'm going on Adam's.
And that has never happened before. Your dog has never jumped on my lap in its life.
Let me situate these fuckers real quick.
Anyway, toque is a glorious Canadian way of saying knitted cap or stocking cap.
It's a beanie.
We don't use that word around here.
I'm just saying, those guys who you're explaining it to do. So, it's a beanie.
I might have to bleep that word out. Second order of business, depending on when you're listening to this episode, you have 36 hours to place an order on our website that is damn near guaranteed to arrive by Christmas. Order by Tuesday, December 17th for Christmas delivery. Again, we have free shipping on everything on our site this month.
Love to see it.
Third order of business, our Merry Swankmas live show on YouTube will take place this Friday, December 20th at 7 p.m. Are you excited to do another YouTube live show?
The Christmas one's my favorite. Black Friday's fun, but the Christmas show's great.
And why is the Christmas show your favorite?
It's just a little classier, a little more elevated. I feel like my posture, both internally and externally on the couch, is just a little more relaxed. That's the speed in which I like drinking scotch and having a nice cigar. Although, are we going to be doing some smoking, Nog?
You know we are.
Okay. I'm going to try and spruce it up a little bit this year.
Spruce the goose?
Yeah. I'm a big recipe evolver kind of a guy.
Larry David once said, I'm not an inventor, I'm an improver.
Ooh.
Is that you?
That is me. I could have something absolutely dialed. The day before Christmas, I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to fucking change that compound butter on the prime rib this year and add a little fucking this and that and the other. Why wouldn't you? What if it's better? Who's going to know? You want the same thing again and again and again? No, thank you. That's not me.
Fourth order of business. Thank you for that.
You're very welcome.
Fourth order of business.
That had U-Band written all over it, by the way.
Yeah, you are wired.
It just hit me.
Wish I had your energy. Fourth order of business. Let's get to 2,000 YouTube subscribers by the end of the year, folks. There are 14 days left in the year, 2 weeks, and we are very, very close to 2,000 YouTube subscribers. And quite frankly, we should have 2,000 YouTube subscribers. We're putting content up there every single week. So stop what you're doing, press the pause button on this podcast. Just click subscribe on our YouTube channel. It's free. It's easy. It takes 2 seconds. YouTube.com/@NationGolf. Subscribe. Be a part of the push that gets us to 2,000 YouTube subscribers. Finally, the fifth order of business. Both Ryan and I were guests on the Holy Duffer Podcast this week.
Hold your applause.
It was a lot of fun, and we really enjoyed our time over there.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
Wow, you're kind of mean.
This is a podcast hosted by some good friends of ours, Scott and Mark, and we highly encourage you to go listen to that podcast, and in particular, our episode, which I believe is titled, in all caps, Ryan Engle Made Me a Breakfast Burrito.
What a wordsmith. If that's not the oversized sweater vest of podcast titles, I don't know what is.
That again is the Holy Duffer Podcast, available on Apple and Spotify. And if you need a link, it is in the description of this very podcast episode of The Fellowship that you are listening to.
Really?
Did you listen to that episode of the Holy Duffer Podcast?
Do you think I have?
Yes.
I did not. What a bad guess. Oh, man. I'm going to get to it. Don't you worry.
They're big fans of yours, I can tell you that.
Really?
You should listen to what they say about you after your interview.
Wow. Was it good?
The word fanboy comes to mind.
Oh, come on. Don't be jealous.
I'm not jealous.
You are.
No.
You are, Mr. I was on the Jim Rome show and I had to block people all the time. You're a little jealous.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Really.
Folks, the last you heard from us, Ryan and I, were on our way to Rams Hill Golf Club for a 36-hole overnight half-business, 100% pleasure golf trip with 6 buddies. This was a trip that Rams Hill kindly provided us to raffle off during a movie premiere that we had at our store back in the summer of this year. So it was many months in the making, a lot of planning, a lot of schedule coordinating, a lot of logistics, and a whole heck of a lot of excitement. So you heard us set this trip up on last week's episode, and then after we finished tracking that iPod broadcast, which was the Tuesday before our Wednesday trip,
Tuesday,
we get word that the power was out in all of Borrego Springs and at Rams Hill Golf Club and at the golf course house we were scheduled to stay at. For those of you in Southern California, you'll remember early last week, Monday night into Tuesday afternoon, the wind was a whippin'.
Boy, was it a whippin'.
Whoopah.
Whoopah! Whoopah! Whoopah!
Whoopah.
Whoopah!
And as they like to say on the golf course angle, someone turned the fan on, and that can mean fire danger. So in certain areas, the power company will take the preventative measure of shutting down the power to limit flying dry debris from hitting a power line, catching fire, returning to the ground, and burning a town to ashes. And apparently Borrego Springs was one of those areas where the power was cut less than 24 hours out from our trip. And this is right about where the good guys at Nation Golf were looking around for a panic button to smash into a million little pieces. Because what in the HE double toothpicks are we going to do now? Drag 6 of our pals to a place without power, a place we can't refrigerate cold beers and red meat, a place where our photogs can't charge their gear, a place where we'd all be walking around in headlamps bumping into each other. You gosh darn right we were. Folks, let me tell you, when we first got word of the power outage, we talked amongst ourselves and decided, you know what? This would be a lifetime memory to schlep out there and rough it with the fellas. After all, nothing about the golf was going to change. Golf is on God's power grid, not the San Diego Electric Company's. And the next time the sun doesn't come up, we'll be the first. So that part of the trip was fine. It was all about the house, but a little lack of power never killed anyone, except for every winter when it does kill people who can't heat their homes and end up accidentally huffing generator fumes in their sleep.
Generator fumes, huh?
But this is California, not the Midwest. We were going to be just fine. So I told Rams Hill we still want to make the trip, not knowing when the power would be back on. And I ran down the list. I called all 6 guys one at a time, asking if they still wanted to do it. And every dude was like, yeah.
I'm in.
You know we want to make this trip, Hawk. Count me in, brother. Rams Hill or bust. So we knew we had the right crew. But then 2 things threw a wrench into our grit. Number 1, we realized that no power meant no housekeeping, meaning we were going to go to a place not only without power,
with the sheets stuck together,
but a dirty place without power. And that's not exactly how we wanted to treat people to a golf trip, months in the making. And then the nail in the coffin, we looked at the forecast, winds blowing 20 to 25 miles per hour. Whoopah.
Whoopah. Whoopah. Whoopah.
making it a little less than ideal to launch a drone and making it really bad conditions for golf and a photo shoot. And now the all caps writing on the wall reads, Force Majeure.
We would have all looked like a Marilyn Monroe in that wind vent with our golf shirts flapping in the wind. Look at these fat in the wind.
Force majeure translates to an act of God, and in the dictionary it is defined as unforeseen circumstances that prevent a party from fulfilling their end of a contract.
Really?
And who could have foreseen this? Nobody. This is nobody's fault, certainly not Rams Hill. And boy, were they understanding and accommodating when we made like the San Diego Electric Company and pulled the plug. Not only did they bless the cancellation, but they extended an open invitation to run the exact trip back whenever it worked for everyone's schedules, which, spoiler alert, will probably be never o'clock.
I would just like to say kudos to the San Diego Gas and Electric Company. There was wind coming, there was a red flag warning, and they had the preventative thought to shut down the grid in Old Borrego because I would have hated to see tumbleweed in vacant lots burn up into the wind. It just would have been awful to see that brush go.
In fairness, Ryan, had that tumbleweed caught fire and blown 3 hours down the road, it might have reached another town.
I guess you wouldn't want these hellfire balls of tumbleweed just barreling down from Borrego Springs into a farmland full of sprinklers. That'd be awful. But hey, good on you, SDG&E. Looks like you saved a dozen lives.
We mean it from the bottom of our hearts. God bless Will, the Mayor Mayo, and his team at Rams Hill, because let me tell you, folks, we weren't the only incoming guests they were dealing with that day. Tough day for Will Mayo and customer service at Rams Hill.
Oh, yeah. That quiet voice of his was stressing on the vocal cords.
Now to the second round of phone calls where we ran down the list and broke the bad news that the trip to Rams Hill was off and that we were scrambling to come up with a plan B. Let it be known that our good pal Thomas Wrighton, who was the photog for the trip, sent a text to the group that said, quote, I am praying for a miracle, end quote. Because now it's 4 p.m., late Tuesday afternoon, and 8 guys are holding their you-know-whats in their hands, all dressed up with no place to go. Let it be known that Ryan Engle had been calling his friends in the Palm Springs area, asking if their houses were available for a night. Nothing was coming through, so we were really up against it. That said, we had some great luck with Indian Wells Country Club, who had graciously held some spots on their tee sheets Wednesday and Thursday in very similar positions as the Rams Hill tee times. So there was golf to be played if only we could find a pile of bricks with a roof to sleep 8 people on super short notice.
And boy, did we find a pile of bricks with a roof for 8 people to smell their own farts.
Lindsay Wrighton, wife of Thomas Wrighton, found an 8-person Airbnb in La Quinta, California, just minutes from Indian Wells Country Club. And as Bob Barker would say, the price was right. And by the price being right, I do mean it was expensive as hell, but not quite Chapter 11 expensive.
Yeah.
So I looked at Engle with the company credit card in my hand, like a boy looking at his father, and I said, please, Dad, can we do it? With one massive sigh and the hopes of 7 other people riding on his decision, Engle looked at me and said, ship it. Ladies and gentlemen, you have never seen someone insert 16 digits of credit card information so quickly into an online billing portal. The trip was officially back on. The greatest group text message was sent out. Miracle on Nation Golf Street.
It really was.
What a Christmas story. Thomas Jung, you, and me in the van. Jorge Hill, Wyatt Lish, and the Nolan brothers all driving out there separately. An early morning pit stop at McDonald's for some Mac muffins. And then it was off to Indian Wells Country Club. Late morning fireside cocktails on the patio, and then 18 holes at the Cove course. You and me in one cart in an aggregate money match against Mike and Scott Nolan, with Thomas and Justin documenting the whole thing. Most fun round of golf I can remember in a long, long time. Yes, we were all playing our own ball. We wanted to do well. We were on camera. We were at an iconic pure golf course. We were in a money match. We were keeping score. But all of that paled in comparison to the fellowship of the afternoon. We are talking belly laughs and banter, drinking scotch, or in Mike Nolan's case, scotchka. Just having the best time, complimenting the good shots, making fun of the bad ones. And at one point during the round, I said to Ryan, we know a handful of people that just cannot ever get to this place in golf where it is all about everything other than the golf. What a great time.
It was awesome. Couple key notes, some of my favorite moments. One was me telling Mr. Michael Nolan that you're too rich to drink vodka.
That is correct. Mike Nolan is the co-owner of Howie's Market. He was sipping on vodka, which is just an absolute trash liquor that has no place in anything other than a Bloody Mary.
Yeah, sipping on vodka. Where's your shopping cart and your tarp? Who sips vodka? Oh, man.
At one point, I went over to top off the Nolan brothers in their cart. We all had plastic cups going, and I didn't look in Mike's cup, and I topped him off with scotch, not knowing he had vodka at the bottom, thus introducing the world to the drink, scotchka.
Maybe we'll serve that on the Christmas show, dude.
Mike Nolan's scotchka. Yes, you telling Mike Nolan you're too rich to drink vodka was great. Not as great as Mike Nolan being unable to refute that point. Just sitting there and taking it. And then later in the round, when you found out he was playing a Max Fly after it bounced off a house and went into a tree, you saw the brand Max Fly and once again told Mike, you're too rich to be playing Max Flies as well.
Yeah. And boy, is that true.
And his brother Scott is the character of all characters. These Nolan brothers are my favorite brother duo of all time, and I know a lot of great brother duos, but these guys top the list.
They're up there.
And they are polar opposite people.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't pay Mike to say more than 15, 20 words in a day. He is a very stoic gentleman. He speaks with his smile. Great guy, unassuming, incredibly nice, just the most pleasant human being to be around. And then Scott, I don't think you could pay him enough to shut the hell up.
Love it.
Scott, you'll hear it on his podcast, the Holy Duffer Podcast, has one of the most violent swings in the history of golf, making it one of the more entertaining rounds of golf to just sit back and watch. But boy, was it fun playing with him. Scott also is 51 years old. He's going blind, according to himself. And at one point late in the round, as it was getting a little dark and Scott had been enjoying some of the stickiest of the ickiest, the greenest of the green, the smelliest of the smelliest weed.
I've never smelled marijuana pot that stinky.
Unbelievable.
I think he just had like a burlap sack that was just open in the breeze, just fucking marinating everybody's nose hairs everywhere he went.
Incredible. Late in the round, blind old Scott stoned off his ass on marijuana pot. Hit a ball into the green side rough, went over there. Engle had teed it up a couple of minutes before Scott got to the ball. This ball was sitting a good half-inch to an inch above the rough, quite obviously teed up to anyone with a pair of working eyes. Scott approached his chip shot.
Fluffed it into the bunker. About 2 yards in front of him.
And then proceeded to have a one-man Lou Piniella meltdown in front of us.
That ball was sitting up so high, slid right under it.
You guys should have seen this ball sitting an inch above the rough. This thing defies physics. How the hell is that possible out here? Scott Nolan having a meltdown, wondering how his ball was that far above the rough without knowing it was obviously teed up, was one of the greatest moments of the trip. We loved it.
Yeah.
And that was quickly followed by the two final holes where we were all square for the back nine, and Mike Nolan had a 4-footer on 17 that he missed, then tried it again, as you are wont to do in a match to get some extra practice in and find out what went wrong. He missed the second attempt. Then he tried for a third time and missed the third attempt, all on camera.
Yep.
Grabbed his gear and what was left of his pride, went to 18 tee box, hit the most unbelievable power duck hook draw, all of 140 yards into a house, ricocheted backwards into a tree well, took an unplayable, hit a great fourth shot, ended up getting on the green and needing to make a 2-footer to win the match, and somehow blew it 4 feet by and then missed the comebacker and 3-jacked from 2 feet.
Oh, man.
All on camera. And let me tell you this, folks. This was never about the money. This was never about the content. This was never about the competition. This was about the laughs. Mm-hmm. And all 4 of us were in tears on 18 green.
Yeah.
And heading back. And that's what golf is all about.
Totally.
Then we head back for the evening. We meet Jorge Hill and Wyatt at the house. And it was go time. It was party time. It was jacuzzi time. Or as Jorge Hill likes to say, dude soup time.
Dude soup. Gross.
6 guys in a hot tub. The Nolan brothers decided to stay out, and they are the only 2 guys from the trip who do not have a raging case of ringworm on their back right now.
Yeah. Oh, man.
We kid. Great night. Wyatt brought an entire cooler of ice-cold Miller lattes, and after getting out of the jacuzzi once to get a refill, we decided, let's just park the cooler right at the jacuzzi.
Yeah.
And we were just smoking beers all night. And then we went inside, taped the Holy Duffer podcast. It was a good time. And all of us were in our hotel uniform, sweatpants all around.
Yeah.
Luckily, everyone's too old to pop random boners, so
yeah,
we were good to go. And then Mike Nolan proceeded to have an all-out war with the English language.
He finally tried to talk, and unfortunately, the blood alcohol level was not allowing the words to come out of his mouth. That was great.
It was at that point when Wyatt kept yelling out, "Anyone want another beer?" As all of us old guys were winding down, I pulled the veteran move around midnight, and I threw in my 10-minute warning.
10-minute warning? 10 minutes till departure.
I love to pretend like I'm on an intercom when I'm announcing time to people. And in group settings, when I want to go to bed, I always announce that the bedtime is coming up. Nothing more rude than standing up and saying,
the bedtime.
Yes. Nothing more rude than standing up and leaving on a whim. And so I let people know, 10 minutes, 10-minute warning, please. Got out of there, went to the back house where you and I were staying on 2 different beds that were absolutely perfect for human beings that were 5'7" tall.
Yeah, you know those beds that they had back in the day that they tried to make them look like a couch, but they don't sit like a couch, almost like a wrought iron white paisley structure to it. It's just got this little sad twin on there. Yeah, that's what we slept in. Your bed was pushed up against a window and a door, and mine was pushed up against another one behind us. That was the weirdest ADU addition I've ever seen in my life.
No doubt, and we had read on the Airbnb description page that this comfortably slept 8 people with 4 bedrooms, and after only being able to find 3 bedrooms, we had to go on a manhunt to find the, what did you call the room?
The smush room. You know, in Jersey Shore, they had that one extra room that everyone had sex in. What a great show.
So we found a backyard pseudo bedroom that was a horrible excuse for a bedroom, but we made it work.
Lowbrow, as they say in the business, Hawk.
I was trying hard to fall asleep, but couldn't because Wyatt Lish was screaming at Jorge Hill. And by screaming, I do mean just having a normal conversation at the kitchen table until 1:30 in the morning.
God bless him.
We love Wyatt. Does it get any better than Wyatt?
No.
What a absolute brilliant addition to the crew.
Oh, yeah. The best voice. We need a sound drop from him.
We need to bring him in to just be the voiceover guy of the podcast. He can record some VOs and we can make some imaging out of it.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah, best voice of anyone I've ever met, Wyatt Lish, and great dude. He's from Zico, and he brought coolers and coolers and coolers of coconut water, which saved our bacon.
Yeah, they have a new one that's coming out, and I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, but it's a new one, more higher quality, specific to a certain region style of coconut, and has to be refrigerated, and boy, I'll tell you, it's a treat.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if it's placebo or not, but you're sitting there either fighting the headache, the shakes, or just however you feel waking up early after a night of debauchery, and the first sip of it, you're like, oh shit, I think I'm back.
No doubt.
Yeah, those were nice. And they were ice cold. What a treat.
The next morning we wake up, you hit the kitchen, make breakfast burritos for everybody. We could sit here and talk about how great the burritos were and what a kind act it was for you to do that after driving everybody out there, booking tea times, and then cooking for them. However, if you really want to hear how good the breakfast burritos were and how much they meant to the entire crew, go check out the Holy Duffer Podcast.
Is it really in there?
Scott Nolan loses his mind that the Ryan Engle made a breakfast burrito for him.
Ryan Engle made me a fucking breakfast burrito. Oh my God. I was like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
Then we went back to Indian Wells Golf Course. This time the Nolans were out of town. They skedaddled, and we had Jorge and Wyatt, and we were working, folks. We did a job out there.
Work.
It was a photo shoot day.
And Adam loves photo shoots.
I hate photo shoots. I hate doing them. They are annoying. They are repetitive.
I like them until I don't.
You know, when you hit the wall, you're like, get me out of here.
Yeah. The next photographer that says, let's try this one more time, that's when I'm out.
No, but God bless Justin and Thomas.
Oh, it's not their fault. It's just
No.
my patience tolerance has a roof. Boy, did we hit it. Got some great stuff. Can't wait to see it. You love to see it.
They did their job. They did it great. And you and I think, were just a little tired from...
I tired.
Is that your daughter?
No.
No. You and I were a little...
Inside joke.
To who?
One listener.
Okay.
Yeah. But he'll get it, and you know what?
He'll love it.
He'll love it. I tired.
We were smoked from the day before, and so we were kind of over it. We had also played golf the day before. Poor Wyatt and Jorge, especially Jorge, who had driven up from Mexico with his golf clubs in tow, and Wyatt, who is new to golf but told his buddies, I'm going out to Indian Wells Country Club to play, and his buddies lost their mind and like, why have you, of all people in our group, get to do this? This is insane. What a gift.
I don't know.
Hey, man, I don't know why they invited me, but I'm out here. I'm a total kook golfer. But I love the vibe. Wyatt, you are the vibe.
He is the vibe.
Real quick, and then we'll get back to the story. Wyatt texted us on Friday, the day we got back, and said, do you guys mind if I come over and pick up an item, or have you had enough of me? And I just wrote back, Wyatt, I wish you were here every day, all day.
Yeah. Don't ask next time.
Yeah, just show up, bud. So Wyatt and Jorge might have thought they were going to play golf. We counted the amount of shots that Wyatt hit after the fact. Wyatt hit 3 golf shots in 4 hours.
Yeah.
He teed off on number 2 because you wouldn't let him tee off on number 1.
He said he didn't want to.
He teed off on 3, and he teed off on 6.
I forget, and I'm reminded constantly, but I forget now leading into it just how intimidating the first tee shot at Indian Wells Classic is, because it makes people not want to hit it.
Mm-hmm.
It makes people hit it like they've never hit it before.
Correct.
It's just intimidating.
I will say this. I have played that hole probably now 15 to 20 times in my life. And for the first time in those 15 to 20 times, I actually hit a playable drive off the tee box on Thursday. Yeah. That's how intimidating and weird and unsuiting to the eye it is. Now, we said Jorge Hill didn't play a lot of golf. That is true and not true. Jorge Hill, he took 85, 90 shots. Yeah. Just happened to be over the course of 3 golf holes. And we attempted to have Jorge film a little vacation or golf bag scene for us, and we just needed one good tee shot to look good on camera. And I think after we lost a box of Pro V1s in the houses on the left, we decided, you know what? Ryan Engle will take it from here.
Oh, man. Poor guy. Over the recent years, they moved the practice putting green right next to the first tee, kind of over to the side because they put in a bocce ball court over to the left, right in front of the pro shop. If you're playing the black tees on one classic, it's technically kind of to your back behind you.
Yeah.
Never did I think that a player on said tee box would actually require the bocce players to duck. I mean, he put capital D-U-C-K in duck hook.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the lake got in the way, and there was a splash before it could boomerang any further behind him. But that was as low and left I think you could ever hit a tee ball on number one.
Yep. How great that it came after we told Wyatt, sit this one out, pal. You're not good enough for it. And then Jorge gets up there. And I'm not trying to brag or boast about Ryan or myself here, but Ryan and I hit two pretty perfect drives right before Jorge gets up. Jorge dressed to the nines. He left a divot on the tee box about 8 inches in front of the ball, and the ball got an entire 8 inches off of the ground into the water to the left. One of the worst golf shots we've ever seen. However, fun to watch. Don't think it got much better for Mr. Hill that day.
This will be a great lesson for him because we've all had to go through it before. And you need an old timer, someone who's been through it, to remind you what the lesson is in all of that. And golf, yes, there's skill. Yes, there's repetition and your own personal experience and the nuance of learning from what works for you and the history of like, oh, I've had these lies before and these good memories of how I got out of it. Crazy laundry list of nuance to improve in the game. And the biggest thing is knowing that all of that stuff matters, but what matters most, what's number one on the list, that you can't learn on the driving range, that you can't learn at your simulator club during the winter, is confidence. And no golf is ever played good, no matter how pretty your Ryo Ishikawa swing is. No golf is good without that confidence. And so the lesson here is once you let the nerves get to you just a tiny little bit, it's a full virus takeover. There's no stopping it. It's spreading. It's everywhere. And now you're left with a trickling of nervousness all the way into your fingertips that makes you hit shots you would never hit in your life. You add the pressure of the camera crew, hey, let's try this again. Hey, just put a good swing on it. Hey, just put it out there. And that little inkling of self-doubt, you turn into a player that you never thought existed. So the lesson here is, holy shit, you can't think about what you just did. You got to just be like, watch this. If you can't get to that mental state, then look out, boys. Make sure you're more than behind them.
Yes. Very well said.
But yeah, it's a funny game. It's a really funny game.
As George W. Bush once said, I call for all peacekeepers to rally against terrorism and stop these killers.
Yeah.
Now watch this drive.
Yeah. You know that was going right down the dick. There's no... That didn't fluff out to the right or kind of duck dive down left a little bit. Yeah. That thing had air under it, and it was just knuckling down the fucking center cut.
The next time you are nervous to hit any golf shot in front of anyone, turn to your group, give the most serious speech about the most serious topic, and end it with, now watch this drive.
Yeah.
Guarantee it's going right down the middle.
Totally.
Yeah. So we set out to play 18 holes on Thursday at Indian Wells Country Club. We finished all of 2.5. Wyatt hit 3 golf shots. Jorge put a dozen golf balls into somebody's front yard and patio and pool and living room. And then we got the hell out of the club and went to Casuela's Cafe.
And you just love the Casuelas.
You do. We sat down at a six-top, had a wonderful Mexican dinner. Justin Jung came out of his shell when he ordered a giant fishbowl margarita.
Justin Jung got Del Rey'd.
Yes, he did.
The Del Rey strikes again. And for the record, Casuelas Cafe, not the Casuelas restaurants, it's the cafe. It's right by Pete Carlson's Golf. Shout out to Ray Rodriguez. Casuelas Cafe just delivers every time. They have a Cadillac margarita called the Del Rey. The Del Rey is not to be slept on. The Del Rey is to be taken very seriously. And the Del Rey is never to be used as a challenge to anyone in fighting weight, in fighting shape, to drink two.
Mm-hmm.
Because 2 Del Reys put you in a bad place.
Yep.
I'm speaking from experience here. In my household, I'm not allowed to have 2 of those ever again. I've done it twice. Both times were very low points in my life. Justin Jung, he had 1. And we saw the beginnings of what could happen had he kept going.
Right. And you've had 2, and one time you tried to fight a saxophone player, and the other time you almost got divorced, right?
Yeah, one time I almost fought a one-man band at the Hyatt. And then the second time I needed to scratch my undercarriage and thought that it would be better to rip my underwear, like a hole in my underwear, so I could access my nuts. That's what 2 Rays will do to you. You think poorly, you act poorly, and you have to apologize the next morning. That's what happens. But in Justin's case, he only had 1, so it was great to see said soul come out of said shell. Adam, your thoughts?
I told Justin you should start every day with a Del Rey margarita because I love this side of you.
Yeah.
I love hearing you talk. I love watching you take the driver's seat in conversations. I love the confidence oozing from your shit-eating grin right now.
Yeah.
It was fantastic to watch Justin get a little loose.
That was baby maker Young right there. Very confident.
Yes. And then on the way home, we had 2 hours in the car, and Justin Jung turned into Charlie Rose and started interviewing Thomas, you, and me the entire way.
Yeah.
If you could have your child play one sport, what would it be? And if you could have them not play one sport, what would it be? If you wanted to have a vacation house, where would it be? And Justin's just driving the conversation with all of these corporate icebreaker questions, and they were great.
Yeah, they were actually. That's a good point.
Real quickly on all of the guys, can't be said enough how great of a crew we had. Justin Jung is just the greatest dude and an extremely talented videographer. We are lucky to have him as our creative director. He made the trip awesome, even though he disappeared Wednesday night to go work on another client's project in his room. Do you think he was actually working or playing video games?
Knowing him, probably both.
Jorge Hill, greatest guy ever. If you're ever around Jorge and me at the same time, get as far away from us as possible because we are going to go into a 2-hour conversation about Radiohead. Wyatt had to listen to some of that, and at one point he got up, took his shirt off, and just jumped in the pool in the morning. It was freezing cold when he did it, and he got out of the pool and said, I just had to wash that conversation off of me.
Yeah.
Wyatt, what can be said about that guy that hasn't been said already? Thomas Wrighton, you want to talk about a guy that you are just so lucky to have in your life. That's Thomas Wrighton. He hit the greatest celebrity shot of all time on Wednesday. You want to tell the people about that?
Oh, yeah. Thomas, you're hitting this one. I teed it up for him, gave him my vintage Ping driver, and he hit just the most beautiful Christian man buttercut you've ever seen.
That was a swing completely aided by his faith in God.
It was Christ-like because you know Jesus ain't turning it right to left in the robe. That robe's going to hold him back just a touch, and he's going to hit the cut.
Yep.
And Thomas hit the Christian cut, and you just love to see it.
You really do.
Yep.
He was not a doubting Thomas.
No.
He was a confident Thomas.
Yes.
And good for him. And then we put the club in Justin Jung's hand for a celebrity shot. Have you ever seen a driver go 60 yards?
Yeah.
And hit well? I mean, he got that one on the center of the face and it went 60 yards.
I was like, bend your knees and look more athletic. And I was like, okay, just swing away.
Yeah. But good for him. They both kept it in play.
Yeah.
Friday, we're back. We were in the shop. Engle didn't think I was going to show up. I slept in a little bit. I came to work. Lots of orders to pack. Lots of things to get out of the car. Lots of things to do the day after a 2-day golf trip, which is just a terrible way to spend a Friday. But as my dad likes to say, never leave a man out in the field.
Yep.
So showed up for my man here, and we got it done. We had some visitors come by, spend the Friday afternoon with us. Saturday, I'm not proud to say it as a 37-year-old man, but I wouldn't have it any other way. I did not get out of my pajamas.
What were you doing?
What was I doing? I dropped anchor on the couch and did nothing.
What would you watch all day? What could you watch all day on a Saturday? What's on?
We watched movies.
That's all you guys did?
Yeah.
Wow.
One thing I do like about leaving for a little while, even though it was only 2 days, is all the shows that you're waiting to put a new episode up.
Stack up.
Yeah. And you're like, wow, there's a lot of telly box to go through today.
Wow.
That's a great problem to have. And so Saturday just stayed in the hotel uniform, which was nice.
You know you live in a nice city when, on a beautiful, sunny, crisp Southern California Saturday, you elect to just close the blinds and stay in your boner jammies all day. Saturday was the Monson Christmas party that you guys fucking blew it not coming to. So
I can't wait to go to one of those.
There's one party to go to. It's the Monson Christmas party.
Rye Monson, our good buddy, throws a Christmas party every year. I've never been. It's unfortunate because my babysitting is 1 hour north and the Monson party is 1 hour south. So we're seriously talking about the world's biggest undertaking to make it possible. One of these years, it will happen.
If you had friends in Fullerton, then you could probably figure a way to get some more logistically pleasing babysitting. But, when you're in your house all Saturday with the blinds drawn, hard to make friends.
You are talking from the point of having gone to elementary, junior high, high school, and community college with the same group of people who, like you, have never left their town.
No, that's wrong.
That's correct.
They're all younger than me. I didn't go to school with any of them.
Craig Dunlap has a great line. I once asked Craig, did you go to high school with Ryan? And he goes, Ryan went to high school with my parents.
Kind of true. Maybe.
Let's get out of here. We've been rolling for a while.
Okay.
It's Monday. We got to get back to work. We have things to do. There's a Mary Swankmas show at the end of the week. Everything ships for free on our website. Order in the next 36 hours so you can get it in time for Christmas. We wish all of you the very best. We will, when we have some more time to prepare this podcast, start getting back into the YouTube comments. So leave your comments on YouTube and subscribe. We're trying to get to 2,000.
I got one more thing to ask you, Hawk.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay, folks. He said he had something to ask. He moved the microphone away, took the headphones off. And with that, we will talk to you next week.